I'm pretty sure at some point I've mentioned my usage of Wikipedia. Anyone who's done any sort of school research assignment has probably had some variation of "Wikipedia is not a reliable source" banged into their heads since they first laid their sticky child fingers on a keyboard. Personally, I believe Wikipedia is an alright resource for gaining a surface-level understanding of a topic before delving into deeper, more verifiable places of knowledge. Encyclopedia Britannica, National Geographic, the X-Board, but the knowledge pumped into our noggins is only as accurate as the person writing the article is. With more verifiable sources, they have reputations and responsibilities. But Wikipedia is entirely run by volunteers. With more heavily trafficked articles, pure moderation works pretty well. Any troll edits are typically corrected before they even hit the site, and anyone attempting to make fraudulent edits are swiftly dealt with. The issues arise with more obscure, niche articles that make up the dark underbelly of our favorite free encyclopedia. Even more vast are the amount of articles and edits being made that translate pages from their original language. If you're from a primarily English-speaking country, it's very likely that the idea of other languages having entirely separate wikis may have never crossed your mind. I certainly had never thought about it. Behind the scenes, there's proverbial armies of editors translating different articles, mostly from English to their native tongue. This brings up an important question, however. What happens when the only person making edits to an entire language's Wikipedia considers themselves an expert in said language, when in reality they're anything but? That, for many years, was the reality for anyone trying to read most of the articles on Scottish Wikipedia. I myself cannot speak Scottish, or Scots as it is commonly referred, but sometime in August 2020, someone who can speak Scots made a very disturbing discovery. According to Redditor u/Yultach, I know, bear with me here, Scottish Wikipedia has always been somewhat of a joke, filled with spelling errors and flat-out nonsense translations. This really shouldn't be all that surprising, really. Scots is only said to have been spoken by a little over 1 million people. The entirety of Scottish Wikipedia is primarily maintained by around 10 editors. To put that into perspective, the English side of Wikipedia employs over 1,000 active admins. This is an actual toddler little league versus major league levels of scale comparison. Going back to Yultach's story that was posted on the official Scottish subreddit, they were reading through yet another comically bad article when they decided to look into who created the article. And what they discovered shocked them. The article they were reading was written entirely by one individual. Yultach investigated further and found that this individual was a prolific editor, and that nearly 50% of the articles in Scottish Wikipedia could be directly attributed to this one person. Over a period of 7 years, the individual going by the name Amaryllis Gardner had made over 200,000 edits and had written over 20,000 articles, and literally all of it was pure drivel. Quoting Yultach directly, they don't seem to have any knowledge of the language at all, and instead were just copy-pasting the English version of the article, slightly changing some of the English spelling, and interspersing the occasional Scot phrase. It was like this for thousands of articles spanning every topic imaginable. So who was Amaryllis Gardner? Who was this individual who had spent nearly a decade seemingly sabotaging so much of Scottish Wikipedia? A 19-year-old from North Carolina. 50% of Scottish Wikipedia was written by an American teen who started this translation crusade when they were 12 years old. According to Amaryllis Gardner, he had started making these edits in his preteens, and kinda just developed a habit he continued all the way into his adult life. So this kid, who when he started wasn't even old enough to technically play RuneScape, was responsible for a vast majority of the content on Scottish Wikipedia, and they didn't even speak the language. When this tomfoolery was discovered, Reddit did what it always does and reacted perfectly reasonably. Amaryllis faced significant backlash online for his actions, some of which was probably deserved. He had spent the better part of a decade doing the Scottish equivalent of putting le in front of every other word and calling it French, all over the world's biggest encyclopedia. But to play devil's advocate for a moment, Amaryllis really didn't seem to have any ill intentions. While I can't exactly relate to whatever this is, it's not the most outlandish claim in the world. We all have our vices. His vice just happened to be unintentional digital knowledge vandalism. If this was some sort of absurd prank, it could possibly be the most obscure and confusing long con of all time. I genuinely can't even fathom what would motivate somebody to do this, but this is the internet, so anything is possible. I just feel like his explanation is just as plausible. There were calls to delete all of Amaryllis' contributions and rebuild everything from the ground up, but the director of the Scots Language Centre, Michael Dempster, thought otherwise. He's been quoted, "We know that this kid has put in an incredible amount of work, and he has created an editable infrastructure. It's a great resource, but it needs people who are literate in Scots to edit it now. It has the potential to be a great online focus for the language in the future." And I think that's a pretty hopeful note to end on. At the end of the day, I don't think Amaryllis meant any harm, and while terribly misguided, it's kinda nice to know that his years and years of hard work at least somewhat contributed to the pages he once diligently curated. Checking out his Wikipedia account shows that he's still active in making edits to this day, although luckily, he seems to be sticking to a language he's actually fluent in. I would like to note here that you'll attach originally redacted Amaryllis' gardener's username for the sake of anonymity, which I'm all for, especially after further context is added to the story. The problem is, news websites such as The Guardian that covered this story published his username, so the cat is kinda out of the bag by now. Please, for obvious reasons, don't seek out and harass this individual. Let bygones be bygones. This is just a goofy tale about a goofy Wikipedia editor. That's all for now, and as always, thanks for watching.